Sveiki, čia tinklalaidė Menofestacijos ir šiandien kalbinsiu jaunąjį prancūzų režisierių Alexandre Yvon. So, Alexandre, it was really nice meeting you last month during the GoDebut Film Festival. What are your overall impressions of the festival and Klaipėdoje itself?
It was a really great festival. It was a great occasion for me to see what was happening in Europe and what was being made in the movie industry. And it was really nice to have it in Klaipėda. It was my first time in Lithuania, and it's a really great town, and I had a lot of fun there.
Do you see some difference in Lithuanian short movies in comparison with French?
Yeah, I saw a bit of difference. I'm structuring my my thoughts. Your movies are a little bit more. You blend more the genres. I assume in France we're more very in a one genre, like comedy, just comedy, or only drama. I remember a movie that was screened where it starts as a comedy and it doesn't.
Tesla.
Yeah, it doesn't really end well, and that's something that we don't do a lot in France, and they have the audacity to do. So it's really interesting to see that. And you in Lithuanian movies, I remember a movie that was screened that was a really it was almost like a poem in
The bridge.
In movie, which was a great movie. In France, I don't remember having seen a lot of movies like that. Maybe I haven't seen
Maybe in
too
the 60s.
many. But yeah, it's something that was really interesting to discover Lithuanian movies.
So I really enjoyed your movie Artist's Duty. Could you
Could
you tell a little bit about the creative process, where you come up with the idea?
Yeah. The movie is about a theater group that decides to record their play and post it on the audio platform for streaming, like Spotify. And that's something that was made in France at the time. With the pandemic, all the theaters were closed, so all the theater crews, all the plays couldn't be made on stage. So some people decided to just record them and put them on Spotify. So I kind of found the idea kind of funny, even though it was a great act, to show that theater was not dead, but you kind of get limited really quickly with this kind of plays. So I started thinking at what are the limitations of these kinds of plays, and trying to play with them and use the funniness of these things to create this movie. And so that was the starting point. And then I decided to make characters that would believe so much in this thing, or they're too stupid to understand what's going on. So that's how I started having the idea and developing this movie.
How strictly did you stick to the script while shooting, or were there some improvisations too?
I got lucky. I had really great actors who I had a clear idea. I wanted to follow the script quite in a kind of follow all the script. And one of the actors decided that it was funnier to do it his way, and he was right. So at the beginning, I was kind of trying to direct him as I had the character in my mind, and but it made everybody laugh so much on set that we said, okay, so this character is not going to be like that. We're gonna do him as Thomas, who played this character, does him. And so it kind of rebuilt a bit the story and how the characters interacted between them. And at one point when we did there's a lot of scenes where they're kind of in an interview set. And so Thomas, the actor, this started to do it as I wrote the lines, and I was like, no, he has to be more stupid since you made him more stupid before, so make him really dumb. And so he decided to kind of improvise certain things that I kept, and sometimes he laughed while he was doing the thing, so I couldn't even keep it, even if it was a great improv before. So that's too bad, but it was really fun to have all these improvs.
How much time did it take to make 8 minutes movie?
It took 3 days. 2 days that were indoors, and 1 day was exclusively outside, which was kind of hard because you have to stop the people to not be in front of the camera, and there's a lot of sounds, and you don't necessarily hear what the people are saying. So that was kind of a hard day of shooting.
When we talked before, you mentioned that you were kind of taking notes how to create a mockumentary from Taika Waititi's That We Do in Shadows, which I do like that show very much. So what other comic movies, series, or comics have inspired you?
For this movie or generally?
In general, and for this movie.
What I liked in the Taika Waititi movie, What We Do in the Shadows, is that sometimes the characters are so stupid that they just go somewhere, and they're really happy to go this way, but it's just stupid what they're doing. I like a lot kind of absurd comic movies, like the movie Airplane. I don't know if you know that movie.
From the 80s, right?
Yes, yes. I think it's a really funny movie, and that there's so many jokes that sometimes you just skip them because there's too much jokes per minute. And I when I was a kid, I watched a lot of Jim Carrey movies. So I think that he makes everything really funny. Otherwise, what's really funny is that I don't watch too many comedies. I generally, I think much of my of the comedy I have when I write comes from YouTube videos, and that I watched a lot. So it's kind of a new way of writing. I think YouTube developed a way of editing things and of making new type of jokes. So I think YouTube was a bit of an inspiration for all of this, and in a way, The Office is kind of a reference for mockumentaries. So The Office, with the US version with Steve Carell, kind of led us in the camera movements and how we wanted to make the colors look like.
It's funny that you mentioned that YouTube kind of inspired you, because I read somewhere that 70% of kids nowadays want to be YouTubers when they grow up.
Yeah, I can understand. I think they're kind of attracted to the fact that they get rich really quickly and famous really quickly. But yeah, there was a time on YouTube where videos were really constructed. Like I don't know if you had that in Lithuania, but when YouTube kind of started in France, it was like in 2010, 2012, this kind of period. Like there were new kinds of comedians that couldn't go on stage, so they just did their thing in the room and they made jokes, and since they could use videos, they edited it, and that made new jokes. And I think that kind of inspired me. And but I think now YouTube is kind of slowly degrading in its quality, and I think that now the new generation mostly goes on TikTok, and YouTube is kind of more for documentaries now. It's kind of evolving. It's like everything.
So what made you pursue filmmaking yourself? Were you always creative person growing up?
No, it's kind of funny that you mention it, but I was not at all doing film studies. I did engineering studies, so nothing to do with film. I was not a really I had a lot of imagination when I was a kid, but I was never really creative. I liked a lot to watch films and read books, but it kind of came at the beginning of my 20s that I started really watching movies, and with YouTube kind of taught me what was interesting in movies and how certain directors made movies, and that's kind of how I got into it. And then I had stories kind of popping in my head, and I got in this little club that made short films in my school, and we started having really a lot of fun making them. So that kind of triggered something in me, and then it became too big for me not to try and make movies. So I decided that I'll just make some.
So which film has inspired you the most to actually partake in filmmaking yourself? Maybe some director has influenced you?
I'm thinking there are movies that really inspired me. That kind of was a punch in the face, you know, when it really takes you to the heart and in your head. The Drive movie kind of had that effect on me, because I think I was gonna watch like a mainstream car movie, and it's really slow and it's really aesthetic and beautiful, and there's something kind of beneath what's being said and that you feel. And I was like, okay, this is a really strange movie and I really like it. Mm-hmm. And there's a movie that's called, I don't know if you know it in Lithuania, it's called Mommy. It's a French-Canadian director called Xavier Dolan. I don't know how you pronounce it in English. And it's about a kid that's kind of violent. He can be really loving, but he can be really violent because he's a hyperactive kid. He kind of lived in a violent place. He's not tamed at all, and he can have like bursts of violence, but can be a really nice kid. And it's the relation between him, his mother, and his neighbor. And it's a very emotionally violent movie, and it's kind of really like a punch in the face. And to a guy being able to make you feel all this emotion in like one film, I thought it was like a masterpiece. I was like, whoa, this is I'd like people to make a movie that would make people feel like that, but it's a masterpiece. I'm far, far, far away from that. I have to work a lot to be able to do that.
Which is the hardest thing for filmmakers, in your opinion, in your experience?
For me, it's to really communication, like that, the idea that you're in your head is clear, that the image is in your head is described so clearly that the people in the makeup department, the actors, the people in the lights, everybody gets the image that's in your head. And that's just communication. And you won't say the same thing to the makeup department. They'll understand something, but you have to make sure it's exactly that. And the same with the lights. And then it's just discussion. Sometimes they have better ideas than you have, and you have to follow them because they know better than you in their art. So that's just something, having the image and then being able to let go and do what's best for the movie, and making the best movie, because everybody's happy if you made a good movie.
If you would get the opportunity to remake one of the classic movies, which one you would go for?
Oh, that's a great question. Like really old movies, or even like in the 2000s?
Yeah, maybe whichever genre or timeline you would like to.
If I like to make a What would I do? Oh, that's a great question. Can I have like a minute?
Sure.
I'm thinking about one because I saw it recently, and it's kind of a movie that influenced me. It's called Magnolia by Paul Thomas Anderson. I don't know if you know that movie. Maybe a more classic movies. No. Oh yeah, a movie that would love to do is like Catch Me If You Can by Steven Spielberg.
Okay.
Because it's so well told. I think the movie is like, it's really catchy. Like it's Catch Me If You Can, but it's catchy, and you see this kid becoming something that, and he always gets out of everything. I just love these kind of characters that are bigger than life and doing everything that they're not supposed to do it, but they still do it. And I just love these kind of movies, like The Goodfellas in Martin Scorsese. I kind of love these kind of characters.
So sort of sociopaths.
Does he harm anybody in Catch Me If You Can? No. Does he?
Maybe emotionally.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, he gets married with the girl and he just dumps her, and yeah, maybe he's not that kind of a nice guy, actually. Yeah, sociopaths. No, I like people who just, they have a way and then they just decide they won't go this way. They'll have things their own way. I think they're interesting characters.
Do you have some advice for young filmmakers out there?
Well, I think one thing that I would have liked to been told is like, just don't care to fail, just do it. Because at one point, I think either you're a real genius and you'll have no mistakes, but I don't believe in it. But doing something and really wanting to do it is the most important. You'll fail, and sometimes you'll fail, and it's not a problem because you'll have learned a lot. The first short film I tried to do as an amateur was a disaster, like really a disaster. And but I've learned way more failing and doing that than if I had just read books and been in theoretical things. Just try, and if you fail, it's not a problem. Just do it again and you'll learn, and then you'll get better.
I guess it's like Tom Wiseau's movie The Room, which is called the worst movie in the world, but everyone watches it just because of that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was just you'll understand that you're limited on some points, and then when you know the limits, you know what to work on.
Can you tell us more about your upcoming projects you are working on right now?
Now I'm trying to find a production company for my next short, and I'm writing a pilot for a series. So that's what I'm working on. It takes
That's very exciting.
Time, but yeah, it's a great moment.
Thank you so much for your time and your answers.
Well, thank you for having me.
I hope we will see some more of your movies in the future in Klaipėda.
Oh, it would be wonderful. Thank you very much for having me.
Merci.